apply.
Hey everyone, Shadenox here, and in this video we're going to have a look at different Assassination Rogue builds for PvP in Dragonflight. This video is not meant to be a guide, but rather a quick glimpse at what I think is best for Assassination right now. Naturally, things could change depending on tuning and on the meta, but if that's the case then my future updates will reflect it. Without further ado, let's begin. Before having a look at the builds, let's talk about stats. I have noticed that many people were somewhat confused regarding the stat priority. In my opinion, you want a mix of haste versatility items and mastery versatility items. The reason for that is that mastery is your best stat if you want to increase your damage output, but your energy regeneration depends on your haste, so you need to have haste as well in order to have fluid rotation. In BFA and Shadowlands we only had venomous wounds to recover energy, so it was important to have sufficient haste, usually around 20%, in order to maintain good energy levels. However, in Dragonflight we have a slightly nerfed venomous wounds, but we also have vigor and difficulty in the rogue tree, as well as dashing scoundrel in the assassination tree when you play a build with dragon tempered blades. All these additional energy sources actually allow us to play with a little bit less haste and more mastery instead for more damage. Right now, with PvP enabled, my stats look like this. It is still difficult to know whether that's the best or not, but right now I feel comfortable with that amount of haste. Maybe once the season starts I will realize that I want a bit more haste or a bit less haste, but that's something we'll see once we can play competitive PvP again. Now let's move on to the talent trees. There are two ways you can build your talents right now. You can either go for Dragon Tempered Blades in the Assassination tree or for Kingsbane. This choice will slightly change the rogue tree as well. Dragon Tempered Blades is a talent that shines when you play games that can last long enough for you to stack up your amplifying poison, so 3v3 or 2v2 with a healer. The 4 poisons are a very deadly tool if you are able to stay in the fight and build up your damage. Building towards Kingsbane will be a better choice if you're planning on running double DPS comms as Assassination, if you want to play random BGs or skirmishes, or if you do duels or world PvP. I will not give too much detail in this video as I'd rather keep it short, but I will give more explanation when I make a guide later this season. Meanwhile, I will answer any question about talents or anything else actually in the comments. The Dragon Tempered Blades build looks like this. The rogue tree is built in a way that allows you to have Marked for Death, Echoing Reprimand and its resounding Clarity passive, Difficulty and the few talents just before that are very important, and Numbing Poison. The Assassination tree is built so that you can get Dragon Tempered Blades as well as important damage talents such as Shroud of Suffocation. The idea of this build is to have high sustained damage with your bleeds and poisons, while being very annoying for the enemy as you'll both slow them with Crippling Poison and slow down their gameplay with Numbing Poison. You will also have very deadly goes when Echoing Reprimand is available, because your envenoms will be used with a blue combo point and so count as a 7 combo point envenom, while also being buffed by Amplifying Poison. Note that Deathmark duplicates Amplifying Poison, so you can buff your envenom 2 times with it when Deathmark is running. There are 2 things that you can change about this build. The first one is Exsanguinate versus Master Assassin. I chose not to pick Exsanguinate because it's been very heavily nerfed and I don't really like it, but Master Assassin isn't the best talent either. Exsanguinate may remain the better option of the two despite my build not featuring it, but as Night Elf, Master Assassin allows Shadowmeld to become an offensive cooldown on top of its defensive and CC possibilities, with a shorter cooldown than Exsanguinate, with Garo dealing more damage when used from stealth, and Deadly Precision further increasing the chance for Ambush to critically strike. Shadowmeld can be used to deal good damage. But anyways, this talent choice is something that I will make a decision on once we can finally play arenas. The second thing is the choice between Vicious Venoms, Systemic Failure and Blindside, or Improved Poisons, Fatal Concoction and Serrated Bone Spike. At the moment both do similar overall damage. The former gives you more direct damage with your combo point builders, while the second one gives you more passive damage with 1 more dot and more poison damage on your melee attacks. I prefer the direct damage version right now because it feels better to have the damage when I press my keybinds on my kidney shot windows than just having more damage overall. Ambush can also hit surprisingly hard, so if you proc during a go or save a proc for an upcoming go, it can make a real difference. When you're playing with this build, you usually don't want to use your burst in the opener because you do way more damage once you've stacked up your poisons. The opener will then be a simple Marked for Death, Kidney Shot, Corrode, Ambush, Rupture, Shiv, Mutilate until 4 combo points or more, and Envenom. After the opener you want to get your Slice and Dice up, reapply your bleeds before the second go, and then, when you're ready to go again, your burst rotation will be Kidney Shot, Deathmark, Shiv, Echoing Reprimand, Envenom, Marked for Death, Envenom. If you're playing with Exsanguinate, you want to use it just before Deathmark. If you're playing with Master Assassin, then you can use Shadowmeld during a go where your other cooldowns are not available. Then you would use Kidney Shot, Shiv, Marked for Death, Envenom, Shadowmeld, Ambush, Ambush, Envenom. The Kingsbane build looks like this. The rogue tree is the same as for the previous build, minus the point in numbing poison that you can instead invest into lethality. I know some people have chosen not to pick Civil T and the second point in Seal Fate to get a second point in lethality and Cold Blood, but I believe that having more combo points with Seal Fate and way more energy as well as a mastery buff with Civil T leads to a lot more damage than a 100% chance to crit one ability every minute. The Assassination tree is built so that you can get Kingsbane, while also getting every other dot there is to maximize Kingsbane damage with a lethal dose. Serrated Bone Spike is also there to help with good instant damage on your burst windows on top of being a dot. The main difference with the Dragon Temple Blades build is that you can press your burst almost immediately upon opening, without spending too much time setting up your damage, because Kingsbane is a powerful instant ability on top of its dot component. This makes it a much better build to end fights very quickly, or to have a decent burst damage while not able to stay on target to set up like you have to do with Amplifying Poison. The drawbacks are that you are less disruptive for the enemy team, you have slightly less sustained damage, and you don't really have lethal damage every go when you don't have any cooldowns, where the Dragon Temple Blades build always has Amplifying Poison and Poison Bomb to be a threat. And last, if the enemy team has very high healing or is very tanky, you may struggle a little bit to bring your target below 35% HP often, which means the 3 talent points in Zoldyck Receipt will be wasted. When you're playing this build, you can burst in the opener if you want, as this build is actually made so that you can run in and press every button. So if you want to burst in the opener, you use Mark for Death, Kidney Shot, Growth, Shiv, Rupture, Deathmark, Kingsbane, Echoing Reprimand, Envenom, Serrated Bone Spike, Envenom, and then you just keep building combo points and spending them on Envenom. You'll want to use your second charge of Shiv just before the first one falls, so that the entire Kingsbane dot happens inside of Shiv. If you want to burst after the opener, then your dots should already be up. Slice and Dice should be up as well, so you'll use Kidney Shot, Deathmark, Shiv, Kingsbane, Echoing Reprimand, Envenom, Marked for Death, Envenom, Serrated Bone Spike until you land on a blue combo point or reach 4 or 5, and Envenom. Again, if you have a second charge of Shiv, use it when the first one falls to empower your Kingsbane dot, and if you play with Exsanguinate, you want to use it just before Deathmark. So these are the two builds that I'd play at the moment. Of course, I suppose a few points could be changed here and there, but that is what I'm personally going with when the season begins. I really prefer playing with the Dragon Tempered Blades build over the Kingsbane one, but as I said, the Kingsbane build has its uses, and we never know. Class tuning or even the meta may drive us towards Kingsbane in the end. Regarding Harder talents, you always want to go with Hemotoxin. Smoke Bomb is also very close to mandatory, although you could drop it if you know you're training a healer. Dismantle is a solid third choice if you're facing a warrior, a rogue, a hunter, or a death knight. If you don't need Dismantle and are facing a comp with heavy slows and roots, like a mage, a survivor hunter, then maneuverability is the way to go. If you don't need that either, you can default to System Shock for a little bit of extra damage. And that's going to be it for this short video. The import links for the builds are in the description. I will upload arena gameplay frequently on my channel throughout the season, and as usual I will make a proper guide with much more information a few weeks after the start of the season. I also updated the Assassination Rogue PvP guide on Icy Veins, so if you want to have a look at a written version of an Assassination Rogue PvP guide, you can go check it out while waiting for my own video guide. I wish you a great day, and I'll see you in Dragonflight Season 1.